Hey, welcome to another well-ordered language lesson. Today we're going to do a quick review of what we have learned so far and take a look at page 16 and 17 in our workbooks. So let's get started. So quick vocabulary review, we're learning about prepositional phrases. So a preposition is a part of speech used to show the relationship between certain words in a sentence. Now there's over 100 prepositions in the English language, but there's 47 common ones that I want you guys to try to memorize. We also have object of a preposition, that is the noun or pronoun after the preposition. And then a phrase is a group of words behaving like one part of speech. And that's what a prepositional phrase is. So, in our last lesson, we learned the order of analysis. There's a new part to how we analyze a sentence. We learned that we need to analyze the prepositional phrase first, identify where it is, and then after that, then we analyze the principal elements, and then the modifiers. There's one more piece called clauses that you guys will learn later on. So when we find a prepositional phrase, we need to put a parentheses around it. That helps us identify and keep track of it. The preposition is labeled with a lowercase p underneath. The object of the preposition is labeled with an OP underneath it. And then we label any modifiers within that prepositional phrase. Once that's all done, if there are any other prepositional phrases, you need to analyze those. Then you move on to labeling all the principal elements. Then when analyzing the rest of the sentence, we treat the prepositional phrase as a describer, so an adjective or an adverb, and we need to hook it to the rest of the sentence, labeling either as an adjective with ADJ prep or adverb with ADV prep underneath. Let's take a look at an example sentence that we did in our previous lesson. I have Otis sketched by the fountain in the park yesterday. In my sentence, first thing I did was I labeled by the fountain. That's my first prepositional phrase. Put parentheses around by the fountain. I labeled by as a preposition with lowercase p. I labeled fountain as my object of the preposition, then labeled my modifier. Then I had a second prepositional phrase. In the park, I analyzed that. Then I went and found my subject, my predicate. My predicate happened to be a predicate verb, so I labeled that. And then I went and added my modifier lines like yesterday, and then both the prepositional phrases were adverbial prepositions. So I've labeled those. If you would like to see the process of that, go back and watch the previous video. So let's take a look at the workbook pages 16 and 17. So we are just analyzing the sentences. We're not going to worry about diagramming them. All right, so let's use red today. So my first sentence I'm going to do with you, and let's get started. My first sentence says, did Phoebe place a bowl of ripe cherries on the table? We need to first identify our prepositional phrases. So, of ripe cherries is a prepositional phrase. I have of as my preposition. Cherries is the object of my preposition. And ripe is an adjective for cherries. I also have another prepositional phrase. On the table. On is my preposition. Table is my object of the preposition. And the is an adjective to table. Now I can go through and find all my essential items. So who's my sentence about? It's about Phoebe. What did Phoebe do? She is going to place. So that's my verb, and it's actually going to be a predicate verb. Now, I also have another sentence. Usually a question is going to be started with a helping verb. And the what did she place? She placed a bowl. So that's my direct object. And bowl is A is describing bowl. Just gonna have to squeeze that in there. Okay. One last step. I need to describe, or I need to hook my prepositional phrases to the rest of the sentence. So first, I'll do the first one, of ripe cherries. What is that telling me? It's telling me about the bowl. What type of bowl? It was a bowl of ripe cherries. So I'm going to hook that to bowl, and since that is a noun, it's going to be an adjectival preposition. So EDJ, prep. Then on the table. Think about what is that telling me in the sentence. It's telling me where Phoebe placed. So I'm going to hook that to place. So since that's a verb, it is going to be an adverbial preposition. All right, so that is how you analyze the first sentence. The next two are going to be for you to analyze. So eagerly, the twins gobbled handfuls of the tiny fruit. And see, afterwards, the kids made large piles of pits. So you'll need to identify the prepositional phrases first, then analyze your sentence. Hint for you, there's only one prepositional phrase in this one, and there's only one prepositional phrase in this one. All right. Number 2 is really good practice for you identifying prepositional phrases in general without having to worry about analyzing everything else. So I'll do the first one with you, and then the second two you'll do on your own. It would be a really good idea for you to have your list of common prepositions in front of you as you do this. It helps a lot. So A, across the street, the kids toss snowballs at the signpost. All I'm doing is I'm putting parentheses around the prepositional phrases. So I know across is a preposition, and street is the next noun or pronoun. So across the street is a prepositional phrase. And that's all I have to do to identify it. I don't need to label anything else. I do need to go through and make sure that there aren't any other ones, because we know there can be more than one prepositional phrase in a sentence. So go through across the street, the kids tossed snowballs at the signpost. At is another preposition. Signpost is the next noun or pronoun that follows, so that is a prepositional phrase. I'm going to do B with you, and then you can do C on your own, because B, there was one that was a little tricky. So suddenly, a ball of snow flew at Phoebe's back. So I go through. Of is a preposition. Snow is the next noun or pronoun. Notice this one doesn't have any adjectives, and that's okay. A prepositional phrase doesn't have to have any modifiers. It can have the preposition and the object as a preposition, and that's it. There's one more prepositional phrase in this sentence. At is a preposition. Now the question here is, do I stop at Phoebe's or back? Well, we know in previous lessons that a possessive behaves like an adjective. So Phoebe's is actually going to be a modifier in our sentence. Back is going to be our noun or pronoun. So at Phoebe's back is going to be the prepositional phrase. All right, you're going to do C on your own. And then for 3 on lines provided, list 20 prepositions that do not begin with A or B. So it would be a good idea to have that list again. Go through, find the ones that don't begin with A or B, and then you can write those out. I'll post the answer key to this tomorrow so you can double check your work. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask on Google Classroom. All right, see you guys next time.